Can we talk?
Not right now, Fordham. Time is of the essence. Come back and see me when you've made some progress on this thing. Your head start on the police will only last so long.
Oh, that's right. So time is of the essence.
Mr. Miles Fordham is here to see you, sir.
Very good, Mr. Havelock. Send him up.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Fordham. I'm Malcolm Harris.
I'm terribly sorry to hear about what's happened, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. You were very highly recommended by Miss Upton. She said you'd be able to solve this faster and more discreetly than the police. I admit it's a rather unorthodox approach, but we're desperate.
I understand. I'll do all I can to find the kidnapper and bring your son back unharmed.
If you'd like to examine the nursery, it's just through that door to the left. I'll ask you to please try and keep quiet as I just sent my wife to bed. Her nerves are rather shot, you see.
Yes, of course.
Do you mind if I take a nap on your couch? I'm getting rather sleepy.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
No doubt you do, but I'm really not in the mood to talk right now. It's been a difficult evening, and I'm not certain I have it in me to answer your questions at the moment.
Fair enough, but I will need to ask you about the incident at some point.
Yes, that's fine. Just not now.
So what about in 5 minutes or so?
I know the hand and waistcoat pose is supposed to look stately, but to me it always looks like the person is scratching themselves.
Yeah. It's like, I gotta get that itch. Portraits? French doors.
The Harris family certainly has a nice view from which to look down upon the world. I wonder if they use the balcony to give speeches to the gardeners.
I don't know. They seem nice so far. Well, Heaney seems nice so far.
I wouldn't get too close, Miles. That vase is probably worth more than your entire building.
It's quite probable.
She looks like she's up to something.
I'm gonna get that scratch.
It's nice to see that tea is still served here even in times of tragedy.
Well, it calms one's nerves.
I'm sure the only location the Harrises care about is wherever they are at any given moment. Mr. Harris said his wife went to bed. Probably not a good idea to disturb her.
Wake up! I have questions.
The Bears' Picnic. Something about a group of giant human-like bears eating together in the woods is slightly unsettling.
Slightly.
My friend Bunny. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want a giant imaginary rabbit for a friend.
I don't know. It's pretty cool. Although intimidating with the giant part.
Look at that. The kid has a toy chest. My sister and I used to have to keep our toys buried in the backyard. Of course, that is because the only toys we had were dead rats. The steam-powered bottle warmer. Certainly beats having to do it in the fireplace. Or in the case of my parents, over a barrel fire.
It's more traditional and rustic that way, I guess.
Some sort of fuzzy animal wearing a waistcoat. Charming.
Man, people just loved putting shit on their walls. A button.
That's odd. Why is there a loose button in the crib? Now, I'm no expert on children, but it seems like it would be dangerous to have around an infant. If only the flower shop burglar was as easy to find as this clue was.
Give it a rest, Bill. We'll get to it.
Nice mobile. Custom made, too. There'll be no mistaking what family this child comes from. Yeah, the kidnapper left the child's blanket behind. There doesn't appear to be any trace of the silver spoon, though.
Yeah, he must have taken that as well. Oh, Bill. Hilarious as usual.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
Ah, wonderful. The soporific has started working. Well done, Fordham. Now how are you supposed to... What's the word I'm looking for? Instigate? Interrogate? I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Perhaps it's time to call it a note.
No. It's not time yet.
Quiet. Quiet. So peaceful, so quiet, so comfortable.
Oh, this is weird.
To sleep. A chance to dream.
Am I gonna fall asleep in the crib?
I am fading. So peaceful.
Well, it's time to call it a night, I guess.
Shh, it's time to sleep.
Yep, to the sofa. Well, I'm not gonna create the best of impressions once I crash on their sofa.
No talking now. He'll know it's all wrong.
Oh man, what have I done to you, Bill? What do I do? What do I do? Do I just leave?
Well, Mr. Harris, I believe I've done all I can for right now.
Did you find anything?
Yes, I believe I have some leads I can pursue. But the most important thing to do in cases like this is wait to hear from the kidnappers. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue my investigation and ask you and your wife some questions once you've had time to calm down a bit. In the meantime, I suggest you stay here and get some sleep. We'll all need it.
Don't fall on the stairs. Focus. Man, he must think I'm a weirdo. Do you just sleep on the chair all the time?
Miles, wake up! It's nearly noon.
Ah, so it is.
Why didn't you come to bed when you got home last night?
It was late. I didn't want to disturb you.
So what was so urgent about the case Upton sent you?
I'm trying to track a kidnapped child.
Oh my goodness, that's awful.
Yes, the pressure's on, but I think I should be able to crack it.
Assuming you actually managed to get anything done at the Harris Manor today.
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Also, we've got company. Mrs. Delacroix is having her hair done here today, so please make yourself presentable.
You mean I'm not all ready?
At least do something about your hair. I do have a reputation to maintain after all.
What's wrong with my hair?
Do you really want me to answer that? We'll be here all day.
Honey, what is right with your hair? Let's take some more soporific.
Yes, the bottle is still in there.
Yep, that's good. Gotta get high later.
And then he said, "Oh, hello there. I don't believe we've met."
Mrs. Delacroix, this is my husband, Miles. Miles, this is Mrs. Delacroix.
Pleasure to meet you, madam.
Likewise, young man. Pleasure.
Is everything all right, Mrs. Delacroix?
Oh, yes, everything's fine. It's just that... Well, you weren't what I was expecting, is all.
Keep your head, Miles. She may be a close-minded idiot, but she's just an old lady.
You mean the portrait? Yeah. Who do you think that was?
You mean the portrait over the fireplace didn't clue you in?
Now then, Mrs. Delacroix, what was it that you were telling me about Mr. Delacroix and his dogs?
Oh, yes. So, Harold came in and said...
Impressive. She got off pretty easy. I was expecting a repeat of the Parsons incident. You should give Adelaide a kiss on the way out, though, just to make the old bat feel extra uncomfortable.
You know what? I really hope I have that option.
She can get as painted up and coiffed as she likes. It's not going to fix the ugliness inside.
Oh, you tell her, Bill.
Addie?
Not right now, Miles. I'm busy. We can talk once I finish with Mrs. Delacroix.
Does this update? Protests. Sabotage blamed for brewery explosion. I can't recall if... Oh, Dupre scandal shocks Gascon society. Madame Laura Dupre, the Gascon Grande Dame, reported to have died 2 weeks ago, is in fact alive. Details emerged after a police investigation that Dupre was made to appear dead and almost buried alive. In a shocking turn of events, it was discovered that Madame Dupre had been torturing her servants, even going so far as to keep one locked in a hidden room. The servant unfortunately died. Dupre was arrested for manslaughter and will stand trial in the coming months. The suspected assailant, Albert Martin, was released with a full pardon. Public opinion has quickly turned against Dupre, with many claiming that she got what she deserved. A signed confession was given by a Guy Dumas, but police have been unable to locate him. You go, Guy. So, we're doing things. We're doing good things. Oh, I really want to give Addie a kiss on the way out. Come on.
Addie?
Not right. We can...
Fine. Kiss Adelaide goodbye.
Goodbye, dearest.
I look forward to your return, my love.
Hell yeah. Okay, back to the manor now that we can inspect things. Hopefully things haven't changed, because I didn't manage to inspect everything.
Remind me, Miles, how is finding some rich people's kidnapped baby going to help us track down the flower shop burglar?
Bill, it's not always about you, you know. I don't know. Maybe it won't. We might find a lead to him. Unlikely.
I'm not interested in the burglar right now. I want to help these people and get their child back. Or at the very least, help them find out what happened to him.
Right. Well, you'll need your full wits about you if you plan on doing that.
Bill, I can do this.
I do have my full wits about me. I'm perfectly capable of doing this.
Yes, and I'm perfectly capable of being alive. I just choose to be this way because it saves on the laundry expenses.
It does!
You can't deny it. You need to stop taking the soporific, Miles. Adelaide has been trying to get you to stop for months, and Upton already suspects something is amiss. Not to mention your little episode last night. Trust me, no one is going to want to hire the duller detective.
Clever. Did you come up with that one all by yourself?
What are you going to do when the cases stop coming in? How long before you get put away in Riverview?
If I do get locked away, it'll be your fault.
Which is exactly why you need to get back to your normal routine so you can find the burglar.
But is it guaranteed that Bill is gonna go away once I find his killer? Nobody guaranteed that.
Alright, fine. I'll stop. But you know that doesn't guarantee we'll find the burglar any sooner.
Yeah, I'm aware, but it increases the odds significantly. Well, I'm glad that's settled then. I knew you'd see things my way eventually.
It's not as though you gave me much of a choice.
In time, you'll thank me. Probably not before the withdrawal hits, though.
Don't make me change my mind on this, Bill.
Bill, you only need to be quiet for about 6 hours.
Mr. Fordham, you're back. Allow me to introduce my wife, Miriam.
Hello.
A pleasure, Mrs. Harris. I wish we could have met under better circumstances, but I assure you I'm doing all I can to find your son.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
Mr. Harris, has there been any communication from the kidnapper?
None at all.
Well, I'll have another look around, if you don't mind.
Now, where was I? Good. Nothing has
Miles,
changed.
didn't you notice something a bit strange about the Harrises?
Quite a few things, actually. What are you referring to?
Their son was just kidnapped, yet they're each on their own side of the sitting room. Not comforting each other, not crying together. Nothing.
They're stuck-up rich people. Not exactly the type to show emotion.
Miles, you know I'm the most cynical person there is when it comes to their type. But this isn't normal behavior, even for snobs. This goes deeper than saving face. There's something going on between them. I think you should find out what.
Don't worry, Bill. I'm on it. Well, nothing has changed here.
Yeah, the kidnapper left the child's blanket behind.
No silver spoon. Ha ha.
Be careful not to cut yourself, Miles. I don't think the Harris family has ever seen blood that isn't blue. Interesting. This fabric looks as though it came from a garment of some kind.
Yeah, it's a little different from the curtains. I'll give you that. I'll give you that letter. I don't know why I went there. What was that accent? Where am I from? I don't know.
Huh. There's a small emblem sewn onto the side of this piece of fabric. It just says SS.
Somebody's initials, maybe?
Well, you know what? You might be right, actually. You're a genius, Bill.
Be careful not to cut yourself. Look, you can see the balcony extends all the way around the side of the manor.
That would make it rather easy for someone to access this window from the outside.
No evidence of what was used to smash the glass, though.
I don't know. Anything? Anything might have smashed the glass? Toy blocks.
Probably won't be another year or so before the child gets any practical use out of those blocks beyond putting them in his mouth.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, Bill. We have to find the child first. Alive.
It looks rather flimsy. Let's not try sitting on it.
All right. What about the other window?
Nice view of the garden from up here. A steam-powered bottle warmer, or in the case of my parents, over a barrel fire.
Barrel fire. Well, nothing else I can pick up in here. You didn't want to look inside the chest.
Look at that! The kid has a toy chest. Of course, that is...
Dead rats. All right. Before I talk to these concerned parents that are comforting each other, I'm gonna take a sneak peek in the bedroom. Because I can.
Fancy. Some poor servant's probably gonna get a flogging for leaving it in here, though.
Hopefully they still didn't do floggings.
Fancy.
Man, this is some fancy-ass furniture.
Who in their right mind would need that many drawers?
Someone with many tiny little things.
Let's see what we have here. A very poorly written letter addressed to Mr. Harris.
I don't suppose it's a letter of admiration.
On the contrary, the author seems quite upset.
Mr. Harris, this is your weekly reminder of how much I hate Yo. Because of Yo, my wife is dead. My wife was a wonderful woman, and you have taken her from me. I hope you suffer as much as I have. Arthur Devons. A threat.
Nothing else of note in any of the drawers.
Oh well, at least we got to play a rousing game of Search the Rich People's Dresser.
That could be a game show. An exciting one.
Nothing else of note in any of the drawers.
No.
Nothing.
Oh well.
Oh well. What about the wardrobe?
Wardrobes are usually always full of wonderfully dark secrets.
Like the road to Narnia. Aw man, I wish my place was this tidy.
Mr. Harris's color selection is almost as drab as yours.
Let's see if there's anything of interest in any of the pockets.
So, Mr. Harris is a fan of the ponies, is he? I'm sure that's not causing him any trouble at all.
Obsessive? Okay, so he's a gambler.
Mr. Harris's color selection... An empty suitcase. I suppose Mr. Harris must travel every now and then. One thing is for certain. Mr. Harris uses entirely too much starch on his shirts. One thing is for certain. Yeah, it seems like this is where Mrs. Harris keeps her unmentionables. I like the ones with the frills and the stitched cat.
Stitched cat, eh? How scandalous.
Paperwork and receipts. Nothing particularly interesting here.
What else?
More lacy underthings. I wonder which Harris they belong to.
You know, whomever wants them. And whomever can fit in them, I guess. So they've got all this lacy underwear, and yet they seem to have some problems between them. I thought lacy underwear fixed everything.
Painting of the city. Probably the only time the Harris family sees any of the other boroughs. It looks like a pile of women's clothes. Must belong to Mrs. Harris.
There's a handwritten note among the clothes.
Miriam, baby, I have to see you tonight. It's been far too long. Arr. Arr. Oh dear.
Oh, another four-poster. The Harris family certainly makes no secret of their wealth.
Well, that's about it for the bedroom. Let's talk to them.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, of course.
Tell me everything you can about the kidnapping.
I don't know much. I was out last night while it happened.
Where had you been previously?
I was out with friends. My wife can verify the time I arrived home.
Wait a minute. I know this attitude all too well. This man is hiding something. Most likely from his wife. I doubt his voice is from beyond the grave, so the question is, what's his secret?
He was betting. He was out at the stables betting on horsies. Betting stubs. I have a couple of sensitive topics that I don't really want to bring them up in front of each other. This being one of them, and when I question the wife, it's going to be that letter from R. So I don't know if I want to bring them up.
I found this letter in your bedroom. What can you tell me about it?
You went through our things?
I'm a private investigator, Mr. Harris. It's part of my job.
Of all the insolence!
You're upset, I know, but do you want me to find your son or don't you?
Yes, of course I do.
There you
That
go.
letter was sent to me by mistake. It was written to my father. Well, if you can even call that writing.
Have I ever mentioned how much I hate rich people? Because I really hate rich people.
Your father. Doesn't he own the company building the new airship?
Yes, that's right. He's been receiving many letters just like that one since the Lygia disaster. But that Devons fellow in particular has sent one every week, along with a bag of chicken bones and dust.
How peculiar.
Not only that, he leads a daily protest in front of the construction yard where the HMS Lenore is being built, trying to halt production. My God! How did I not see this before?
See what?
Devons! He has a grudge against this family because of what happened with the Lygia. I'd put money on him being involved with the kidnapping somehow, as a form of retaliation.
I'll just have to speak with Mr. Devons and see for myself.
Don't jump to conclusions now.
I found this bit of torn fabric by the broken window. Do you know anything about it?
Looks like it came from a piece of clothing. Possibly a jacket.
Did the initials SS mean anything to you?
Maybe? I can't really say. You'll have to excuse me, Mr. Fordham. I've got quite a lot on my mind right now. If I can think of anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Yes, be sure to let me know.
Tell me about your son.
Charles is a good boy. Very quiet. Miriam had wanted a child almost from the moment we married. You know how women are when they have their hearts set on something. I saw no need to rush, but...
Nice to know you're not the only one. Hey, Miles.
The first 2 times Miriam was with child, she suffered some unfortunate accidents. She was devastated, as you can imagine. So when Charles finally came along, he turned out to be quite a blessing. I can't imagine what sort of depraved madman would take him from us like this. You must find him, Mr. Fordham.
I intend to, Mr. Harris.
You haven't told me much about what happened, but I guess it's because you were out gambling. Dad of the year.
Tell me about yourself.
There isn't much to tell, really. My life has been fairly well publicized in the newspapers.
Let's pretend for a moment that I skip over the society pages.
Well, I'm an investor. My father Clyde runs Harris Construction Company, which I will someday inherit. Any other details about me are fairly trivial nonsense, I think.
How goes the construction of the new airship?
There have been some complications, but nothing we can't handle.
Could you be a bit more specific?
Well, I already told you about the trouble with protesters at the yard. And we're blocked pending Royal Maverick's review of the safety regulations for the prototype etheric diffusion engines. Agitators and red tape aside, we should still be on schedule to have the Lenore finished and in the air by the end of the year. But really, Mr. Fordham, what the deuce does this have to do with finding Charles?
He has a point, you know.
Well, I'm trying to figure out that this new project is probably going to put a lot of people out of a job, so even more reason to cause harm to your family. Doofus.
I found this button in your son's crib. Does it look familiar at all?
No, not at all. Do you think the kidnapper might have left it behind?
It's a distinct possibility.
Maybe we have the kidnapper's coat with the piece of fabric and his button. Maybe it fell off his coat. Now, if this betting stubs reference goes sour, I might reload the game and not mention it. But I want to see what he says.
Mr. Harris, what can you tell me about these?
What? How did you...
Listen, I'm trying to help you and your family. I can't do it if I don't get the entire truth.
Do you think we could discuss this somewhere more private?
Yes.
I suppose we could.
Good. Let's move to the nursery then.
Good. Oh, maybe now I can talk to his wife. Yes, that's what we were supposed to do. Now, tell me all your secrets.